Welcome back to the Building Excellence Podcast. This is a podcast that's all about helping you build excellence in some area of your life. My name is Dwayne Walker, and I'm just one of many people who are part of this platform. And all we have in common is that we have a heart to help others build excellence. We are people who maybe have learned a thing or two in our life and our leadership. Maybe we know of a nugget that helped us and we just want to pay it forward. And so this is a platform. This is a podcast where we get to pay it forward. So we hope that not only in this episode it will bless you, we hope other episodes bless you as well. So let's dive in. Right now we're in a series that's all about building excellence in the workplace. We have been talking about and just blown away on how much all of us are impacted by the work environment. We've argued on this podcast that outside of God and our parents, there is no stronger influence that is on any of us than the workplace. Everything we do every single day, we are interacting with the workplace. It's either we're going to work or we're experiencing people who are at work. Okay, and when we're at work, where we're spending 8 hours a day, typically 5 days a week, and there is nobody on the planet that we're spending that much time with on a daily basis. Because even when we get home, we're only at home, awake, spending time with our entire family, 3, 4 hours, then we go to sleep. And so we're just embracing the fact that a key environment that we need to focus on is the work environment, because if we lead that well, honestly, it's going to have this cataclysmic impacts on our world. And so we want to be leaders and bosses that take that responsibility serious, to not only make a profit, but also to make people. Amen. And so with that said, today's topic is all about interviewing. Okay. In my last podcast, I talked about how to hire, and a key part of hiring is interviewing, and the interviewing is an art. I've had the pleasure of interviewing hundreds of people and hiring hundreds of people in my career. And so I've had a lot of experience and I've been able to have a lot of time collaborating with people. I really don't think that anybody ever arrives at being the great interviewer. However, I do think that it's a skill that you can get stronger and stronger and stronger in. And I do think there are nuggets and best practices that you can learn along the way that can not only help you get stronger at it, it can help you have a better batting average on not only keeping people, but hiring the right person, and also saying no to the wrong one. Okay. And so one thing that I said in the last podcast was this: that it's so important for us to be slow to hire and quick to fire. It's so important that we take our time during the hiring process, because we don't want to hire the wrong person, because let me tell you what that does. All it does, it has a catastrophic impact on your company by you having to slow down to hire, slow down to train, to not to just end up firing that person or that person leaving, and you have to do it all over again. Okay. So many times we're fooled by the idea that, oh, if we hire quick, the problem goes away quick. That is a huge myth. The quicker you hire, the slower you go fix that problem. The slower that pain's gonna go away, because it's gonna take you 3, 4, 5 at bats to get the right person. So what we're trying to do in this particular podcast is to increase your batting average to where whenever you do hire, you have a 70, 80, 90% chance to hire the right person. And when you hire the right person, that means you're going to get the right person to take you where you want to go. You're gonna get the right person to take the pain that you're feeling as a company and help that to go away. And you're going to hire the right person to take you into your future. Okay. So with that said, that's the first nugget. The first nugget is, hey man, uh, get some wisdom, learn best practices so that you can hire right, hire slow. Don't fall into the trap of hiring fast, because fast is really slow. All right. So that was point one. Point one, we want to be slow to hire and quick to fire. We want to make sure we're taking our time in the interview process. And we're just embracing the fact that there is no such thing as hiring fast that's going to produce results. Hiring fast is a recipe for not producing results and having to hire all over again in 3 months and then doing it all over again in 3 months. So let's take our time. Let's hire slow. So with that said, so with the commitment of hiring slow, then what do we do during the interview process? Well, the reason why you have to hire slow is because you can't learn the things you need to learn about if that person's the right fit for your company and organization right now. You can't do all that in one interview. It takes multiple conversations. It takes multiple interactions for you to get a good read and the best understanding on if this person is going to be a good fit or not. So some people may ask this question, well, what are the steps or what are the things you go through as a leader? What are the questions that you ask that helps you better understand if this person is going to be a good fit for you? Well, listen, number one, if you want to dive deep into this topic, just message us, reach out to us. We do training on this often where we literally give you list of questions that we ask. It's a long list. It's too much to actually do on a podcast. So it's better in the classroom setting. So if that's you, just reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to provide coaching in that area. Uh, but for now, I want to keep it really high level. When it comes to questions or when it comes to approach, there are basically five different things we're trying to figure out during the interview process. Okay, so the first thing is this: is the is the person that I'm looking to hire, does that person have the competency that it takes for them to do well? So the competency part, honestly, is something that can be vetted out a little bit through the resume. It can be vetted out a little bit even through um, any kind of pre-interview questionnaires or paperwork that you may have someone fill out. So we try to weed out a lot of people at the very beginning just by asking the question, okay, what kind of leader are we looking for? So what results should they have produced in their life? What kind of experience do they need? What kind of knowledge or abilities or education do they need? And so we're able to once we know that, when we get an application, we can easily look at it. When we get a resume, we can easily look at it and say, no, this person doesn't qualify for what we need right now today. It doesn't mean that that person isn't a great leader or a great person. It just means, well, the next person we need to hire, this person doesn't fit that particular bill. I need to keep looking. Okay. So if you don't know where you're going and you don't know the person that you're looking for, then you can't look at a resume to know if they qualify or not from a competency standpoint. So it's very important that you evaluate competency first because it's going to save you time in the interview process whenever you can actually not interview them because they literally aren't qualified for the role that you need. Or sometimes they may be overqualified. Okay. So competency is the first thing we look for. And so once we do feel that somebody is competent enough, then we do believe that that's now time for us to schedule a interview to begin learning more about their competency. And so in the interview process, we do ask questions around the competency side. So depending on what you're looking for in a leader, it's important that you frame questions around finding out if they've produced those results. So if you need somebody who is experienced, you need to ask experienced questions. If you need a rookie, well then you just need somebody that honestly doesn't have any competency in that area because you're going to train it all yourself. And so I'm going to give you a example of a competency question. So let's say that I'm looking for somebody who has produced results in leading people, that they have a history of leading people well. If that's the case, then I need to be able to look on their resume and see have they held any positions with leading people. And if they did, then I have an interview. And in that interview, I'm going to say, man, so tell me about any roles that you had where you were leading people. Then they would explain, here's was a role that I had where I led people. Okay, great. As you were leading that team, what was the toughest challenge that you had to lead that team through? That's going to give me some insight on the uh, the level of leadership that was required on that role, just based on the challenge. So the tougher the challenge, the tougher the leadership that's required to overcome that challenge, and the tougher it is to lead people through it. And then a follow-up question you can ask is something like, okay, so talk to me about the results that you were able to produce through your team. Not results that you personally produced, and not something that you personally did. What is the highest results you've ever produced through a team? Can you tell me about a situation where you've produced a lot of results through a team? Does that make sense? So hopefully that's helpful. And again, if you want more training on questions, oh man, I'm telling you, we can spend a whole hour just talking about different questions based off of who you need. And so just message us and we have tailored coaching just on how to help you craft interview questions for the type of person that you're needing. So after you've vetted out competency, so the next thing after competency is going to be capacity. So I want to make sure that a leader has the capacity. I want to define capacity. Capacity means they have either the time, the energy, the strength, the mental fortitude, okay, the leadership fortitude, leadership strength, mental strength to be able to handle the either the stress or the workload or the amount of people or the amount of oversight or the amount of uh, information that's going to be coming at them. Okay. Because somebody who has a lot of capacity, they can juggle multiple variables and handle complex and competing issues. Okay. They can handle multiple direct reports and get results through multiple direct reports. There's somebody who can take in a lot of information and be able to process that information and lead results through that information. There's somebody that typically they don't need everything spelled out for them. There's somebody that can deal with a lot of ambiguity. What I mean by that is they don't need a a plan every time. There's somebody who can create a plan. Does that make sense? And so that's a capacity thing for me. And so if there's a role that requires a lot of capacity, I need to ask some capacity questions, okay? And I need to make sure that they've done that before. And if they haven't led with this level of capacity that's required in the past and produced results, at least I know I'm taking a risk. Like this person hasn't led at that level, but here's some reasons why I think they may be able to. So hopefully that's helpful. I always like to give an example of capacity question. So here's an example. If I'm asking, if I'm trying to figure out how many direct reports they can handle. How many direct reports have you had in your life at one time? Great. Tell me about that season where you had the most direct reports. Great. Um, Help me understand the results that you were able to produce with all those reports at the same time. How were you mentally during that time? What would your boss say? In that time where you had those direct reports, what would he say was your strengths during that time? And what would he say are some areas that you are working? And then I would literally ask that boss that question whenever I do references. And it's a whole other conversation, reference conversations. I'm telling you, call references is so important to contact references. Don't just be believing what people say about themselves. Like, yeah, I was a great leader. I led and I grew things by 3,000 and made $3 million. Man, you better call that reference and make sure that person is telling the truth. Okay. And sometimes it's just a difference of perspective. Okay. I'm not saying people be lying, but sometimes they do. Amen. All right, move right along. So hopefully that was helpful. All right. So the when I'm interviewing, the first thing I'm interviewing for is competency. The second thing is capacity. The third thing I'm interviewing for is chemistry. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest with you. We work too much at work to be working with people we don't like. Okay. So while I'm interviewing them, I just got to make sure I like them. I got to make sure they like me. We do not want to be getting. I call it getting married at work. What I mean by that, listen, I'm not being weird. We about to spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with somebody. I mean, for real, it's a work like union. Okay, and I don't want to be in a union with somebody I don't like. All right. So make sure that there's chemistry. I don't care what kind of results they produce. If they're gonna be around me all day, man, they gotta wear easy on me. I gotta smile. I gotta enjoy being in their presence. I want them to enjoy being in my presence. Okay. I want them to like my leadership style. So even during the interview, I'm making sure that I am showing them who I am. Leaders don't make the mistake that during the interview process you pretend like you're a leader that you're not. Okay. It's kind of like you're going on a date or something and you pretending to be somebody that you're not. Don't do that. It is during the interview process, I try to bring them as close as I possibly can. I want them to see my strengths. I want them to see my weaknesses. Why is that? Well, because that's who I am. I don't want them to all of a sudden see my weaknesses and be spooked and don't want to leave. Okay. So show them, like be vulnerable with them. Uh, One of the things that I think is a secret sauce, I like showing them how I coach during the interview process. I need to know if they like it. Because one thing that I take very passionately as a leader is it is if you are going to work with me, I think it's part of my responsibility to help you be the best human that you can be on the planet. If there is something that I see that you can get better in, and I think it's going to not only help our company, if I think it's going to help your marriage or help your parenting, I'm going to say something. I want to be a leader that if you're around me, that you're like, man, that guy helped me get better. Okay, why is that? Because I think it's most important for us to love God and then love people and then at the same time work. Okay, it isn't love God and work and then love people. It's very important that I speak the truth in love and I try to help them be the best people that they can be. And then if they're the best people that they can be, then they're going to be the best leaders for me and produce results for the company as well. Okay, so I actually do try to, throw some coaching nuggets in there. Anything I don't like, I just want to see how they respond, see if they like it, and then I say, okay, well, this is me. Do you still like me? Do you still like the company? 'Cause I'm not trying to blindside you, and you thinking that all we're gonna be doing is sitting around kumbaya and everything's good. Sometimes we're gonna make mistakes, and sometimes I'm gonna need to coach you, and honestly, if I make a mistake, I want you to coach me. Okay. And so it's very important that we have chemistry, and it's important that you test that chemistry during the interview phase. Be real, like be your authentic self. Show them the different parts of your work environment to make sure they like it. Let them see how you lead a meeting. Let them see how you lead a one-on-one. Let them see your team and make sure they're not going to be surprised. Okay. And then make sure that they like you and you like them. So that's what chemistry is all about. All right. So their first thing that was important for us to look at was competency. Next was capacity. After that was chemistry, and the fourth thing is character. So um, character is actually the most important thing. However, it's difficult to vet out character before an interview. So the reason why it's fourth for me is because I need to spend some time with you in order for me to understand your character. Okay. So I tell you right now, we do not hire people with bad character and integrity, period. Okay. So it's number four because it takes me that long to figure it out. Okay. I got to be in 3, 4, 5 conversations before I get a really good feel to where I'm confident about somebody's character. Okay, you never can know for sure, but I do want to be confident that this person has the character, the integrity that it's going to take for them to do well at our company. Okay, the reason why I put competency and capacity and chemistry ahead of character is because those things can be vetted out more quickly. Okay, some of those things I can vet out before I even see you. So that's the reason why. Okay, so when it comes to vetting out your character, it's important that you understand, okay, what kind of character is needed for somebody to be successful here. So I want to tell you about my company. Uh, so in my company, um, we actually want people who are humble. So that's a character trait that we look for. I would argue that the most important character trait to hire is humility. That's just my personal preference. Okay. Uh, I that is a trait that I am heavily attracted to as a leader, meaning I like working alongside people who are humble because humble people are empty cups, not full cups. That the humble people are people that I can pour in. Okay, they're not somebody who's already full. That whenever I try to pour, they're like, "I'm full. I know it all." I'm like, that gets on my last nerve, and so I can't hire people who are full cups already. Okay, I need people who are humble, but at the same time confident. Do not confuse humility with lack of confidence. I can be confidently humble, meaning I'm confident that I'm going to do the best I can every single day. But I also know that I don't know what I don't know. And so if somebody sees something or if I learn something that I can do something better, please, please, please give it to me. And I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to apply it and I'm going to achieve results. Okay. So I character is very important for me. And so I'm going to, throughout the interviews, I'm going to be gauging their humility. I'm going to be seeing, um, are they boastful? Are they a person that is talking about how awesome they are? Are they someone that um, values listening to me? Or are they somebody who is interrupting me? Are they on time? Do they apologize when they make a mistake? Do they say please? Do they say thank you? How do they treat a waitress if we're having lunch? How do they treat other strangers that they interact with whenever um, uh, either we're not interviewing or whenever we're just walking around, walking in the door? Like those are all signs of humility. When somebody's saying hello, that's a sign of humility. They are valuing others above themselves. Um, Here are some questions that you can do to vet out humility. Tell me about the last time you made a mistake. Who-wee? And they go, huh? It's I really love. If they haven't given me one already, tell me your toughest coaching moment. Uh, Tell me about a time where um, you had coaching and how you applied it and how you produced results through that coaching. Does that make sense? Those are some ways that you can ask questions around humility. There's other questions that you can ask them. Those are just some examples. So other character things, right? So character at our particular place of employment, our company, it's very important that we value others, okay, above ourselves. All right. So I want to see from a character and integrity standpoint, um, if they are somebody that takes advantage of people, or they're somebody that they help people um, while they work? Are they a good teammate? Are they somebody who gossips, or are they somebody who refrains? Are they a person that is a thermostat, or are they a thermometer? Okay, somebody who sets the temperature, or are they somebody that is influenced easily by others? Are they somebody that, when it comes to a team environment, are they somebody that celebrates others' successes, or are they somebody that always wants to take the wins and I did this and I did that? Oh, it's all about me. Okay, so those are ways that I'm like, I don't know if somebody's always talking about me and they're always wanting to celebrate themselves and they can't celebrate others. Um, Another thing is that from a humility standpoint, the questions that they ask. Um, do they ask questions? What kind of mentors do they have? Who's wise counsel in their life? Um, when's the last time that you've asked questions to get better at something? Those are all signs of humility. Okay, so those are some examples of how you can vet out humility and different parts of character. And so, um, character, integrity, your yeses are yeses, your nos are nos, and you want to be able to ask questions to know if this person is an honest person, that they play by the rules, they aren't somebody who's going to be cheating, stealing, or abusing or misusing environments for personal gain. Okay, so character is very important. And then lastly, oh, I forgot about this with character. You can also tell a lot about somebody's character by how they lead themselves. Are they on time or are they late? You give them assignments. Do they complete them on time? You can find out um, their character by talking about family and how they navigate different family challenges. How they navigate different work challenges. Another great way to vet out character: how they left past jobs, okay? How they communicated that they were leaving. Did they blindside their leaders? Uh, are they still able to talk to those leaders? Okay, so how you left them is typically a good indicator of how you gonna leave me. Okay, so again, those are just great examples on on how you can vet out character. Hopefully it's helpful. And the last piece that is important for me is the culture side. I want to make sure that every hire not only has the competency, I want to make sure they also have the capacity. I want to make sure they have the chemistry and the character, but I also want to make sure that they are going to be able to thrive in our work culture, our work environment. I know many of you listening to me right now are like, what are you talking about? Well, believe it or not, every workplace, every place where people are, there's a culture. I define culture as here is how people behave in this environment. That's what culture is. It's the behaviors. So whether you have defined your culture or put words to your culture or not, you have one. So culture is not words on the wall. Words on the wall are just words on the wall. Culture is here's how we behave in our work environment, good or bad. You can have good culture, healthy culture. You can have a bad culture, a toxic culture, and you can have a mixture of both. The question is how are people behaving? Okay. And then you as a leader have to ask yourself, do I like the way my people are behaving? Okay. If you don't like it, then you need to talk to us or somebody about how do I create an environment that I like at work. Okay. You can totally hit us up. We're really, really gifted at creating excellent, thriving cultures. Or you please collaborate with somebody in your life that you know that can help you with that because you need to turn that around. If you don't turn that around, then that means you're going to lose good people. You're going to lose people that are supposed to be with you, and they're going to leave, and then you're going to attract people that are not supposed to be with you because they like that culture. All right. So if it's a culture you don't like, change it. And whenever you're hiring people, hire the culture that you want, not the culture that you have. And then it's very incumbent upon you to change that culture. Now, if you have a culture that you like, you need to take time and say, okay, what are the things that I like about my culture? And so therefore, here's how a person needs to live, behave, and interact with people in order for them to be able to do well in my culture. So at Cosmopolitan, which is the company that I own, it's our culture is an acronym called CISER that I've mentioned before in our podcast, and it's servitude, integrity, collaboration, excellence, and results. So that is our culture defined. Those aren't words I just made up. Those are words that after extreme amount of processing and collaborating about what makes our environment great, because I actually liked our culture. And then I also have to think about, okay, what are some things that I want us to make sure that we focus on too? Okay, so that these words are not only the environment that we work in, okay, but it's also um, who we want to be as a company. And so every person that I interview or that we interview as a company, we're asking ourselves and we're looking at this to see if every applicant has a history of servitude. We should be able to easily vet that out. We're going to make sure that every applicant has a history of integrity. We're going to make sure every applicant has a history of collaborating with others. They aren't solo rangers. There are jobs where that solo rangers are important. That isn't our that is not our company. So then we want to make sure that we're hiring somebody who has a history of producing excellence in their life. Their value is excellence. They aren't somebody always cutting corners. And we also want to make sure that we want to hire somebody who has a history of producing results. Like even when we're hiring somebody young, we can vet that out. So for example, one of our youngest workers, this is a person that just graduated college. Um, we were actually thinking we need to hire somebody that was a little bit older, but as we started asking questions and vetting out, this particular person had a history of serving at church. This particular person had a history of having excellent integrity. How did I know? I was able to ask people that I trusted, and they told me about their integrity. They had a history of collaborating with others. We actually were able to give them different, not only assignments to double check to see if they were able to collaborate, we also were able to ask their references about collaboration. We knew that that person had a history of producing excellence in our life. Well, how is that? They just graduated college, where they were in multiple clubs and in multiple organizations where they served in leadership positions in those organizations and produced results that were excellent. They had excellent grades in high school and college. Okay, and so also they helped us understand results. So not only were they able to do that, so they were able to have excellent grades in high school and college, and in college they were in multiple different organizations and also achieve excellence in those organizations. So they helped us understand capacity, and they had a part-time job as well while they were doing that. And in that part-time job, they produced excellence. How do we know? Because we were able to interview and that reference to make sure that the result that she said she was producing. So yeah, it doesn't matter how old they are. It's all about you being really intentional and asking questions and finding out will this person fit the culture that I like and that I want to be as a company. All right. So hopefully that is helpful, guys. This was a very extremely high level view at just tips on how to hire. If you want to deep dive into this, please, please, please message us, email us, call us. We'll be more than happy to invite you to one of our training and coaching sessions on us diving deep into hiring best practices. But what we learned today was it's very, very important that we're intentional about hiring. We want to be slow to hire, quick to fire. We want to hire based on competency, capacity, chemistry, character, and culture. We want to take our time, have multiple conversations. Typically, it takes me about 4, 5, 6 interviews to land that, man, this is a great person for me. I'm telling you right now, that first interview is always like a first date. Man, everybody on their best behavior. You really didn't see much. But by that second, third, fourth interview, you start to really pull the curtain back and look underneath the hood on who that person really is. So I challenge you to be slow to hire. Okay. And I'm telling you, when you're slow to hire, you literally are going to solve that growth problem, that need, that leadership problem that you're hoping that they fix much faster than you ever could if you were hiring fast. All right, that's it for today. I can't wait to talk more about how to build excellence in the workplace. All right, talk to you guys soon.